It's time for another Dice Tower review with Z. Garcia.
Hey everybody, today I'm taking a look at this small card game called The Legacy of the Maharaja from designer Michael Schott, whose work I've enjoyed for many years. He typically does Euro-style game designs, typically smaller games that do a lot with very little. He's also very, very good at auction-style mechanisms, making them clever, making them interesting. This is an auction-style mechanism in which there's a balance between taking more money for yourself while simultaneously, if you do that, making things cheaper for your opponent. Let me show you how this works. We'll come on back. I'll tell you if I think it's a good one. In the game, players are going to be attempting to score the most victory points. Victory points are going to come from these cards here, the different kinds of goods. They have a number. That's how many victory points they are worth, up to 3, 1, 2, or 3. Also, having collected these sets will give them victory points. These are 4, there's 5, there's some that are a little bit more. And then also for every 3 coins, the golden ones here represent 3 of the silver coins. So for every one of these, you're going to get 1 victory point as well. So here's the game set up, in this case for 3 players. We're going to shuffle up the deck here and flip over 4 cards. Everybody gets a little bit of money at the beginning, and then you are ready to begin. So the idea is here that each player is going to be on their turn either buying a card and then possibly acquiring a set, or taking money instead. And again, after that, possibly acquiring a set card over here. So let's say it's my turn. I'm the first one to go. On my turn, I can either buy something, buy one of these 4, for the cost that is currently set, which is 4 right now. Or I can take money. I would take this one off of that card, add it to my pool of money, and I have now reduced the value of the cards for the next players, for every player from here on out. So I'll do that. That's my first go. The other player here, the next player will go, and they can again either take the money, again dropping the price in this case, or buy a card. Let's say they want to buy a card. They have to pay that much, which is 3. They pay that much, and they keep one of these in front of themselves. And then it's the next player's turn. They'll take money. It comes back to me. I'll pay 2, sure. And I get change of 1 back, and I'll buy this card. It is the next player's turn. They'll take money, and it is now this player's turn. Let's say they also will take, no, they don't want to take money right now because you have a hand limit, or you quote-unquote pay taxes above 8 coins, meaning you basically drop back down to 8. Right now they have 7, so they don't really want to take money. They'll spend money. So they'll spend 2. They will take, I don't know, that one. Comes back to me, I will take the money. Now that triggers the end of a round, and the round triggers, the end triggers either when these are gone or when the money is gone. This one's going to be discarded. We refill this, and we refill these with money, and we continue with whoever would be next, which is that player in this case. And again, they can buy or they can take a card. At some point, you are going to have enough cards in front of you that you are going to want to take one of these sets. So for example, let's say I take this card. I now have 2 of these statuettes, and I could, after I've acquired the card or taken money on my turn, I could acquire this card here. This card here says I need 2 statuettes. It's going to give me 4 victory points. However, for each of these, there are 2. There's one that requires 3 of whatever the set is, and one that requires 2 of whatever the set is, and a discard. So if I choose to take this card, that's fine. I'll get the 4 victory points, but I have to get rid of immediately one of the cards I just used towards that set. So I could chuck this card, keep this one, put it in front of me somewhere. This is out of the game for the rest of the game, and we continue playing. So this will happen until we run out the entire deck. At the end of the game, we are going to then score up our final scores. Again, these that you have taken, these special ones, are worth as much as they say. There are some sort of rainbow sets over here. By the way, you need 1 of each for this one, 8 victory points. You have this one that doesn't quite require as many. You still have to get rid of one, and then the smaller set there. And so these are going to score victory points for you. You are also going to score, as I said, the money. Every 3 coins is 1 victory point. But also, you probably have noticed, and I haven't mentioned it, that cards have colors. Why do they have colors? Well, there's a secondary sort of set collection going on. Let's say I have all these cards in front of me at the end of the game. These are all the ones I have. At the end of the game, I'm going to score all the cards I have in front of me except for the ones that I did not get at least 2 colors of. So green here being solitary and there being no other green card in my tableau, I don't get to keep that one. I don't get to score it. And so I would get the 5 points here and the 3 points here. That's it. That's basically the whole game. It's very quick, pretty straightforward mechanisms. Again, this is a setup for 3 players. They do give you a different set of these money cards to be laid out here. If you are playing with 4 players, that simply add 1 more 3 into the mix. All right, so that should do it. Let's go back up top and let me tell you what I think about it. So obviously a very simple set collection auction style game, but I tend to like those. And again, I think Michael Schott is very clever at this sort of push-pull balance, especially coupled with auction mechanisms. The game does not feel particularly new. There are other games, both from this designer and other designers, that have a similar vibe here. So there's nothing on display here that makes me feel like, wow, this is new ground being broken. But I think it does work well. It's a very quick game. It's interesting. It's clever. And I find myself enjoying it when I play it. So it's one I would recommend for that specific audience that really digs Euro games in that style of old, where they did a lot with a little bit. You know, the mechanisms here are spare. There is just a couple of rules, really. But the choices of when you take money, when you buy something, what you buy, playing that denial game with your opponents. Do I buy this just so that they don't get it? Even though I don't have another card in that color, I might not get another card in that color, so it might go away. Do I focus on getting a lot of those of the same color, or do I worry about getting the sets first, and then if at the end of the game I can't keep the items, then forget it. I still got the bonuses. Then, you know, I think if you enjoy all those little sort of iterations of interest, I think you're going to enjoy this one. I like it, as I said. Not one of my favorite games, but one that I was surprised with, and it sort of recalled those designs that Michael Schott has done before that made me a fan of his work. It reminded me of some of his earlier games and why I like them. So, again, I would recommend it. Certainly not one I think you need to go out of your way to find, but if the overview spoke to you, if the things I'm talking about are things that you typically find interesting, then I think picking up a copy of The Legacy of the Maharaja is in your best interests. Check it out.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.